Glazko, and it's a field trial of WhoIsZuki system, a narrative-based feedback to encourage physical or behavior change.
Hi, my name is Glazko, and I'm presenting this on behalf of my co-authors, Murnane and the others listed. There are many health apps out there, right? We've all used one. Oh, what? Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. There are many health apps out there. We've all used one, right? If you haven't, somebody here or somebody you know has. The trouble is that while there are a ton of smartphone apps out there to try to encourage people to move more, most aren't delivering on this potential. Most of these apps deliver feedback in a quantitative way with charts, graphs, and reports. Users often find this confusing or demotivating and unengaging, and research shows how hard this can be, and it's actually hard to interpret, ineffective, and ultimately leads to abandonment. Our approach was to try something different. We developed an Android phone app that delivers personal health information in the form of qualitative narrative-based feedback. What that means is that we visualize a user's activity data and progress towards fitness goals through comic-like stories that comprise a multi-chapter journey that we deliver through ambient, glanceable smartphone wallpapers. So the basic idea is that our protagonist, Zuki, is this little cute purple space alien who ventures to Earth on a mission to save his planet and find his lost brother, encountering diverse scenes, characters, and conflicts along the way. As a user logs activities and meets goals, the plot progresses and Zuki similarly conquers his own challenges and reaches achievements. For tracking activities, we support both automated tracking of activities through Google Fitness, such as walking, biking, running. This is the kind of thing that your phone sensors can pick up on. We also supported manual logging for activities like strength training and yoga that are a little bit harder to detect. Users set weekly fitness goals based on the time and a number of sessions that they want to achieve. We show artwork for the narrative on the phone's lock screen and home screen. When a user completes an activity, we visualize it as a thematically related icon, like a star in this example. It's a space-themed wallpaper, and different activities are represented by different colors. The story unlocks new content based on progress towards a set goal. For example, if I set a 100-minute goal for the week, I would see the next section of the story once I reach 20 minutes. The progress indicators shown on the bottom right represent this goal progress. Once a user reaches 100% of their goal for the week, the next chapter is unlocked for the following week. Since users only progress to the next chapter if they meet their fitness goals for the week, we planned 13 chapters to provide at least a 3-month-long experience. I'll scroll through a few of the chapters now. Chapter 1, in space, there's a nice little spaceship. Chapter 3, Zuki, the purple alien, is climbing up a cliff in a very precarious situation. And chapter 13, final chapter, a bunch of cute little purple aliens are going up onto a hot air balloon into a pretty pink sky. And these chapters are all tied together by Zuki's backstory, an overarching plot that follows an episodic structure from exposition to rising action and climax to falling action and conclusion. We employ narrative principles like characterization with our sympathetic protagonist and antagonist. We had a previous paper at CHI 2020 that detailed the extensive collaborative narrative and our experienced design process behind the app, and our early pilot study. You can find details about this paper online. This pilot reinforced the importance of designing to support intuitive visual communication, emotional richness, and thematic coherence. It, however, was not a longitudinal study and only covered 3 chapters and ran for 3 weeks. And the promising results from the pilot study, though, did lead us to pursue a longitudinal study. I'll explain the study methods, then move on to the results. The purpose of the longitudinal study was to find out what happens when people engage with Zuki in daily life over time. The key goals of the study were to quantitatively and qualitatively examine people's physical activities and experiences with narrative-based feedback over time, overcome the potential novelty effects that may have explained the promising results that we saw in the 3-week pilot, and systematically evaluate the effectiveness of narrative-based in terms of both behavioral and psychological outcomes. To summarize, can multiple chapter narratives drive long-term behavior change and positively shape mindsets about physical activity? Towards these goals, we had people use this system for like 13 weeks, and they were split between two conditions. The multi-chapter condition, in which they would actually experience the full story if they were able to achieve their goals, and a single chapter condition, where the same chapter was replayed every week. Participants were assigned using randomization. We took surveys which included self-assessment of physical activity levels, exercise barriers, stages of behavior change, and more. These surveys were performed pre and post in the experiment, daily, and also weekly. We also conducted interviews for onboarding and offboarding that delved into thoughts about physical activity, history, goals, motivations, and for the offboarding specifically asked about experiences with the app, including goal achievement and satisfaction. We also logged activity, including automatically tracked exercise. Our sample had 39 participants, with 19 in the multi-chapter group and 20 in the single chapter group. There were 24 female participants and 15 male participants, had the average age of 31 years old. So now I'll touch on a few main results related to how we observed the system affecting people's everyday exercise activities and attitudes, as well as engagement with the interface and story. And I only have time to touch on a few of these results right now, but the paper reports on lots more. A reminder that we track two different kinds of physical activity: automatically recorded activity, primarily walking and biking, and manually logged activity. At the start of a study, we ran a 2-week-long baseline period to see the participants' starting levels of activity. There was no statistically significant difference between the groups during this baseline period. During the experimental period, participants in the multi-chapter group had significantly higher total mean weekly physical activity levels, 387 minutes, when compared to single chapter group, which had a mean of 279 minutes a week. Both groups saw a decline in total and automatically recorded activity in duration and counts over time that was tied to the week in the study. So it was kind of sloping downward for both groups. But the group that received the narrative did not experience a drop in the manually logged activities. And kind of shown in the chart in this image, that number remains over time. During the holidays, the two groups did not have significantly different levels of physical activity from each other, and both had lower physical activity levels than the other weeks. However, in the weeks following the holidays, we saw a statistically significant difference in activity levels between the multi-chapter group and the single chapter group, and which is represented on this image by this kind of large spike. Put a little red circle. The multi-chapter group also both set and completed more goals than the single chapter group across the experiment. They engaged with the goals page of the app more, coming back to it. There was also a statistically significant difference in terms of perceived involvement in the narrative. To quote one participant, rather than just seeing it as the levels, it helped build a story, so that was cool. So you feel motivated to do your exercise and what the path is taking you to. So that's definitely helpful. Some participants expressed being motivated by the narrative, while others did not. One said, "We were in space for a while, all of a sudden we were on land." Like, that just happened just like randomly one day. I don't think it was because of my goal completion. It was only reaching 40 to 60% during this time. That's when I got interested and thought I should check my goals again. So, wrapping up, I'd just like to briefly review some opportunities to build on this research. Overall, we see our system as a platform for exploring the design of these sorts of novel, narrative-centered, intelligent, and interactive tools. In the future, we could explore culturally tailored narratives to see if different groups would be more motivated with a story that speaks to them. We could also explore personalized proactive goal and activity recommendations and applications beyond health context, for example, eco-behavior. Thank you to everyone who contributed to this paper. And yeah, narrative-based feedback can shape mindset and sustain behavior change. Thank you.
All right, so we're almost short of time. I just wanted to ask if the last paper, Sophia is here? Yes, yeah, okay. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure you're... very quick question.